when I was calculating GNP, I took many parameters. When I calculate GNP, I took many parameters. That is GDP plus NFIA. GDP plus NFIA. Now, this is total income of the country. Now I want to calculate only GDP. Now I should calculate only GDP. Then how will I calculate the GDP of my country? GDP of my country is GDP of all the states, gross state domestic product, okay, plus those activities performed by the central government which are in states but completely fall in the ambit of the central government. Those activities performed by the central government but they are part of state governments, but this is not calculated under state GDP. So what is not calculated under state GDP? Because state has no right on them to calculate in the state GDP. Then who has to calculate? Central government has to calculate. If there are any central universities, okay, if there are any central universities, if these central universities are present in the states and these are operated by central government, that means state will not calculate those income generated from those universities into the state GDP, but that creates some value. This value is reflected by central government. For example, railways, aviations, or any sort of central government institutions are set up in any of the particular state. Those will also create some value. That value will not be calculated by any of the states. If that value is not calculated by any of the states, those will come here in the term X, which is nothing but those institutions or any of those entities which are handled by the central government but are present in the state government and are not calculated under the state GDP. That is also been reflected. Plus those institutions by the government which have been kept out of the country. Institutions like performing R&D out of the state ambit, institutions which are performing R&D out of the state ambit, okay, in international waters, etc. Any research and development activity, any mining, deep sea mining, R&D activities, or any of the activities performed by the central government where the state territory does not lie, even that will be part of central government's returns. So that will be taking in terms of Y. Plus those institutions which have been established by government in other countries performing the task of the government. Those institutions established by the central government, not in the country, but they are performing for the country but established in other countries. For example, consulates, for example, embassies, for example, military setups, which have been set up in other country, performing the responsibilities of India. That means you have sent your employees there and the employees are performing the function of India on behalf of the government, and hence it is being paid. Who is paying them the salaries, etc.? It is being paid by the central government. Then those institutions which also get into the calculations of GDP of the country. GDP of the country definition is very, very broad, which are present in other institutions, and those institutions are performing certain responsibilities on behalf of the government of India, but their presence is not in India, any of the countries, embassies, consulates, etc. Those employees are appointed by us. We have been paying them. They are doing duties there. They are performing economic activity there, but that comes under our GDP because we are paying them. That is shown in the segment Z. Any institution which is present by other countries performing the responsibilities of other countries but their presence is in India, we will not calculate them into GDP. Okay, that means other countries who wants to set up their military base, defense base, or consulates or embassies in India, paid by them to perform economic activity in India. It's their expenditure, so we don't calculate them into GDP. So we will calculate only what we are giving them on performing the economic activity for us. Performing economic activity for India, in India, out of India, we will take it.